All right. Welcome to the pod, Triangle Tennis Podcast, episode question mark on the script here. So I'm going to go with 6. I think we're at 6 now.
What is an episode? What is a number? Who can say?
See, so we've got a very special guest here with us today. He is a prolific captain in USTA, been around for a long time, captaining teams all across the Triangle. A staple in the USTA community as far as being on the board and understanding a lot of the rules. You may know him for some of our fact checks that we've been doing. He is also a friend of the animals and a lawyer who supports them, and we'll be excited to talk to him about that. So without further ado, we've got Max Gregson as our special guest. Yay! If I knew how to cut in applause, I would do that, but I don't know how to do it, so...
And the best thing about our special guest Max here, and we clear this with our attorney pre-interview, is that we are able to call Max our attorney, the podcast attorney, as long as at a later point in this we say he's not actually our attorney.
Yeah.
There it is. Subject to all reality disclaimers. I'm very much your attorney, with the reality disclaimer being like the actual reality is not that at all.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like that. Yeah.
Well, what a great segue into Maxwell. What exactly is your role in the USTA comic universe? Because apparently it's not technically as our attorney, so I assume it's something else.
Yeah, so it's the USTA comic universe is expansive, slightly less so than the MCU. So there's local levels of USTA, then there's district levels, which are in the southern section states. And then there's sectional levels, of which there's, I think, 17 across the country. And then there's USTA National. So I sit on the board of directors of USTA North Carolina. I'm an at-large director, one of 4 at-large directors. In addition to all the area directors, there's 14 area directors, 4 at-large directors, the past president, the current president, and the secretary and the treasurer. So like 21, I think, members of the board of directors of North Carolina USTA.
Wait,
so I'm going to be real with you. My brain now is like the Charlie and Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for the conspiracy forks. I'm very confused, Matt. Yeah.
So district, when you say district, is that state? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, in the southern section, the districts are states.
Okay.
But when you're talking about SoCal, Southern California, is its own USTA section. And NorCal is its own section.
Oh, that makes sense.
So
it's a huge state.
When you say district there, it means a subpart of Southern California.
Yeah.
Whereas when we say district, we mean North Carolina.
Yeah.
So do they do redistricting like they do every 10 years politically, or how does that work?
No, Southern is by far the largest section and just keeps getting bigger. And even though other sections might want Southern to subdivide into 2 because we are...
Okay.
Southern section is twice as large as the next largest section, which I think is Midwest in terms of player count. And Southern is like, no, absolutely not. We're keeping it one large section.
Does Southern get more pull? Like, because they're so big, like, do they get more pull?
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
So we're the largest section. And what is the largest state within the largest section in terms of participation?
By league participation, it's North Carolina. North Carolina is the largest league participation state in the southern section.
And then what area within North Carolina, which is the largest state within the largest section for participation, what league is has the largest population?
When you combine the Capital District, the Capital local area, the Eno local area, and the Central local area, which make up the Triangle, it by far has the greatest number of USTA League participants in North Carolina.
On the Triangle Tennis Podcast are lucky enough to be at the literal mecca of USTA tennis. There is not a better place in the country to live if you like USTA tennis than right here.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's right. I would agree.
And then within that, Durham's the best of all. So like that's even cooler.
Oh, that might be debatable. Yeah.
Sure. I'm not here for Durham slander, but I'm also not here for Raleigh slander.
Yeah.
I don't think it's slander.
We can
to say
slander
that Durham's
Cary
just the
a
best
little
place ever.
Want, but...
Different. That gets you in trouble.
No, that won't get me in trouble. It all just depends on
Give
like
us-
how you want me to rank rankings based on what? Just my personal preference.
Zach,
sure.
you mean player who has the best players in the league, or like better courts or better facilities? What do we want to look at?
Let's leave this open. Let's leave it open. So Max,
Interpretation.
tell us your 3 favorite leagues in the state, and then why you picked those 3.
My number one's going to be Raleigh. It's going to be the Capital District because one, I live there, and then number 2, you get a good variety of hard court and clay court because there's a lot of clubs in Raleigh, and then there are ample public courts in Raleigh, so you get both hard court and clay court action, multiple matches a year on both, which is great. And then on top of all of that, all the nets are in existence, and all the lights actually work as well in Raleigh. So, and they work very well. So the nighttime matches aren't really a factor. So that's why I'm going to shout out Raleigh. In terms of like raw talent, like just I think ability, like my number 2's probably got to be Eno, which is Durham, because I think just the with such the influx of young players and young people into Durham as a city, I think the talent level is just insanely impressive, not just at 18 plus, but then like I've watched some 40 plus matches and stuff like that as well, and it's crazy impressive. And I think those results kind of show when you look at the state level who wins a lot of championships. Always does very, very well, and I think I think like the only thing holding back truthfully is court availability and court condition, because the players are there. I'm gonna plug Piedmont, which is Greensboro area, but Yadkin, which is Winston-Salem, is close. Both as very talent-rich areas, competitive. Greensboro's got some indoor court availability, which makes things nice on their end.
Is the Spencer Love Center a public facility there?
It is.
That's so.
What is that center?
What kind of courts are there?
Hard court, indoor hard court.
I thought that they were public clay at the Spencer Love facility.
Are they? Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. What's the large indoor complex in Greensboro called?
Bubble one? Are we talking about the one with the kind of like bubble?
No, it's kind of like a gym. They host tournaments there.
Yeah, I've been there.
Like in the winter.
Yeah.
I thought
Max,
that was.
who's going to fact check us if not you?
Yeah,
I know what he's
do it.
talking about. I've played tournaments there.
Yeah.
There's a gym. There's no clay court there. I think Zach's just dreaming.
I thought that
of
was the
something.
Spencer Love, but it might not be the Spencer Love. But either way, it's indoor facility, which is great. And then, but it's a very talent-rich area. They're always very competitive, especially in 18 plus, from my experience.
Really quickly, Max, you're our go-to fact checker. It was a pleasure to fact check you today. There is not 1, not 2, not 3, but 13 outdoor public clay courts at the Spencer Love Tennis Center. There are an additional 8 indoor courts that is part of the Greater Greensboro public tennis court facilities. And so Asheville has public clay courts, Greensboro has public clay courts. The list keeps on growing. Yeah. There is a public health crisis in this country. There is a loneliness epidemic. What could solve that? An investment in third spaces or third places, right? What better way to do that than an active and a healthy third space? And what is that if not a public clay court?
You're good. You're good. I mean,
I refuse to yield. I
refuse
to yield on the public clay courts.
You are making the strongest argument possible. I just can't. I don't know if I can take it seriously. You're missing a key element for the clay, because the argument could be made, why can't I just have hard courts? That's probably cheaper, I would assume. But the argument.
I'm so glad.
The argument I think you might be missing is that it's help. For older folks, it helps. You can play longer, so then it'll help your health longer. So I think you can add that to your argument list. I'm not buying it, but that just strengthens your argument. So I'm here to support you. I'm going to pivot a little bit. What are some common misconceptions, and this can be pretty general with USTA, that you want people to maybe not have?
I think like a common misconception is that the people on the board or the people on certain committees within USTA have all this power over anything. I've heard tale of in some other sections or some other states, it's not quite as formal as it is in North Carolina, and so maybe there are people that might have a little more sway in other states. That's not the case in North Carolina.
That's good to know.
Can you share the rumors of what those states may or may not be?
There is not a ton of league play in Arkansas, and so I've heard that the rules and stuff are a little less rigid, and that the local league coordinators are not quite as involved as the local league coordinators are in our area. And so I think that's the other misconception, is people think that local league coordinators can just kind of adjust the rules when it suits them and stuff like that, but they can't. Like, they follow them all pretty much to the letter of the law. They're pretty good in our areas about following it as well. And so...
Speaking of adjusting the league rules, it's my understanding that there's a cap of one number of players in North Carolina per league team, but some states have a higher cap. Is that true, and why is that?
That's very true. Yeah, North Carolina depends on the season, of course, but for combo, for tri-level, for spring season, all 18 plus, you're talking a cap of 15 players. If you go just to South Carolina, I think it's 18. If you go, there's some states that I think the most anywhere is 30. There is some movement in the adult league committee to try and increase that. I know a rule was proposing change to, I think, 21, cap it up at 21 players. There's pushback from some people representing more rural areas on that committee, saying that, they already struggle to field 2 teams, and then their team would just combine into one team, and then half the players wouldn't be able to play, basically.
That sounds like a Snow Hill problem, not a statewide problem. I gotta be honest.
Kinston.
And so,
sorry, Snow Hill. We always pick on Snow Hill. Poor Snow Hill.
Yeah.
And so it's you're more right than you know about that statement.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
more
hey,
right.
wait a second though. So you guys are both captains, right? I'm just a player.
Yeah.
How would that change things for both of y'all
what I was gonna
in
ask.
your approach to team building? Yeah. So Matt, what would you do?
So Max and I were on our spring carry team, and that was full, I believe. But we really had availability issues. So in that case, it would have been nice to have a few more players, but I could also see other teams hoarding players and just building these, huge teams, and then guys only get to play once or twice, and then you need to play 7 leagues to play in any matches. I'm okay with 15. I think we just had really bad availability. I don't think it needs to be changed. I think 15 is fine. I'm not overly concerned. I think we just had some bad luck in spring carry with guys, and then I got hurt, and carry I couldn't. If I would have been able to get myself off, we could have gotten an extra guy, and that really would have helped, but I played one match. So I
heard you won a trophy for that.
A trophy for that match?
No, I heard you won a trophy for being able to get yourself off.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I'm very good at that as well.
That's what we call...
Yeah.
That's a callback. Nicely done, Max. What about you? Would you approach team building differently if you had, say, between 6 and 15 extra slots?
So I think 3 extra slots in tri-level would go a very long way. And then I think 18 for spring level would be good and wouldn't really impact anything that much. In the triangle, at least, it wouldn't impact anything in terms of my captaining. Okay. And I think it would help with states and sectionals availability for the teams that made it.
That's true.
To states and sectionals, because those things cost money, and they cost time, and you got to spend up equity with your partner and your family and PTO at work and all this other stuff. And there will always be people who, on a 15-person team, there's always going to be 3 or 4 guys that don't go.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know anything about that. I've never been on a team that's made it that far. I think I'm in double digits now. Never quite gotten to states. So what is that like when you're on a team that actually makes it there?
It's fun. Each state's team is different. Some teams are going with a legitimate chance to win and are taking it very competitively. Some teams are going just to have a good time, and it's a weekend away from the family and the kids and stuff like that, and they're kind of going for just a fun weekend. I've been on both. I've been on both those kinds of teams. I've been on states teams that had a good shot. I've been on states teams that had absolutely no shot, and you can have a good time doing both. I think states is always just more fun when you enjoy the guys that you're on the team with. I think that's the big thing.
I think Daniel, next time we chat with Daniel, he's been on a lot of the go to states for fun teams. And I don't think most of the players besides him are hungover, I think. from what Daniel has told me, is that they just are ready to get away from the wives, and they are just out till like 2 a.m. every night, and then they go out and play tennis, and they lose, and they love it.
I played a guy at puking during. I can't do that anymore. I physically cannot do that anymore, and I just wouldn't.
I played a guy at States. It was a singles match a couple years ago, Spring States at Lake Norman, hot as all get out, and the guy consumed 6 session IPAs during our singles match.
That's wild.
What was the final scoreline?
I beat him like 2-1 or 2-0 or something like that. Once he cracked open the first beer, and this is like a 2:00 match, 2 p.m, and I just thought like, oh, that's a get right beer from the night before. Like that's fine. Like he cracks the second one, and I was like, okay, that's also fine. Like he's just getting back into the day. By beer number 3, I was like, this man is here for a singular purpose.
Yeah.
And by beer number 5, I was like, I'm pretty confident these were also not his first 5 beers of the day.
Oh,
He was not going to let tennis get in the way of a good
No,
buzz.
he
And
wasn't.
You know what?
No, he was trying to keep
yeah.
he was trying to keep that one going all weekend. I'm pretty sure that like his whole strategy was like, you can't have the hangover if you just stay drunk.
That's
And I was
true.
like,
That's a fact.
I was happy as I could be for that man. I loved it. I loved every minute for him. It was also not a long match, so 5 beers within the match was an impressive feat in of itself. I think he was the actual winner. I don't know.
Was he
what I
ripping
did.
one every changeover?
Pretty
Or
much.
Like would he? Because like if it's hot and you drink half a beer and you leave it for the next changeover,
Yeah.
like,
That's disgusting.
You kind of have to rip it, right?
Yeah, he was pretty much. It was like a half. Like he was just down in half of it, and then we'd change over, and then he'd finish it up, and then crack open the new one.
I don't know this to be true, but I'm just imagining this guy like looking at you and saying like, you know what's worse than warm beer? No beer. As he rips his fifth of the mash.
Yeah.
I think we can close that segment out. Max, we wanted to talk about, you are our resident fact checker. So for folks who don't know this, after Max listens to every episode, he texts Zach and I all the things we got wrong, and it's quite fun. So what drives you to do that?
Do you get everything? Like are you leaving stuff out, or are you getting everything?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, my source is just myself and of what I have personal knowledge, and those topics of which I have personal knowledge. So to the extent you're waxing poetic about something I have no knowledge about, you feel free to keep waxing, because I'm not going to stop you. Hell if I know. I will only fact check about the things that I personally know. So no, I'm not like going through with a Google search to make sure everything's correct. So that's why, yeah, the majority, my Raleigh Racket Club fact checked was because I was a member at Raleigh Racket Club. And
you explain the clay to us there, because you texted Matt and I an explanation for how their surface works. Yeah, I do not know what that meant still. Like there's lasers involved?
Yeah, they laser grade it to make sure that it's even.
Lasers?
Like it's not.
What does laser
What?
grade
They bring
mean?
out lasers?
Yeah, it's like, so the company that puts it down, it's their proprietary product or whatever. I think it's all over. It's carpet with fine clay dust put onto it. Okay. Let's call it what it is. But like,
as our attorney, are we legally allowed to do that, or is that like patented and we can't do that if we wanted to?
What?
Oh, make that kind of clay? Like they
make
did?
that,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
If you made it on your own without looking up how they did it and all that stuff, like if you just happen, I mean, they'd sue you for it, but like, in order to like defend that suit, you'd have to show that you came by this product and this formula on your own without actually diving into their proprietary secrets.
So they would have to.
I'm hearing that we can absolutely.
Well, they would have to check our Google searches or something. I don't know if it's worth it, man.
Do they get to check your Google searches in a court
Oh,
situation?
absolutely. Oh, yeah, no.
Ooh,
You're doing a
definitely not
full.
worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it, man. It's not worth it.
Nope. We're gonna end that conversation right there. Although,
Yeah.
Matt, I am hearing that if we just like did it in your backyard and everybody was cool about it, we could probably get away with it.
Yeah, that seems fine.
In the fact check / legal eagling portion of this, we wanted to get into. So I famously have been rejected by Swing Vision as a potential brand ambassador. It hurts me deeply because I really, really love their product. How much are we allowed to plug them when they have gone out of their way to say, Zach, you just don't have what it takes to be a brand ambassador for us? Like,
I mean, they can't stop you from providing a testimonial about your use and your personal experience of their product. I mean, it's, they can't stop somebody from leaving a bad review. They can't stop somebody from leaving a good review. I think you can't cross the line of saying that, of representing to people that you represent Swing Vision in any
So could I
official
say I'm
capacity.
officially unofficial brand ambassador? Because they have officially said no, which makes me unofficial. So can I say from this moment forward on the pod that this is officially an unofficial Swing Vision promotion?
Oh, that's really close.
That's the goal. We want to get as close
Close
to
as
it as we can. We
possible.
don't want to go over it, but we want to toe it a little bit.
Yeah.
That's I think you know, if I was your actual lawyer, I'd say you're towing that line to the point of a foot fault.
Ooh.
And,
They don't get called very much, do they?
They don't.
really
no,
don't.
They
Yeah.
don't. It's a shame. That's who I want y'all to. That's what I want. I want y'all to do a rundown of the worst foot falters in the triangle.
Oh man, a power rankings episode of
Power
worst foot
rankings,
falters?
yeah, power rankings of the worst foot falters. I think if you dropped the officially, you could do unofficial. Like if you it's the officially unofficial. It's the word official that's going to be
They've
like
confirmed I'm not official, so it is official that I'm not official. That is a
Yeah,
factually correct statement,
if
and
you can
I'm not a lawyer, but I feel very confident in this legally.
you could say like an actually unofficial, like a real unofficial, a truthfully unofficial. It's the
Okay.
It's the intentional ambiguity you're creating
I
by
see.
having a direct comparator
Yeah, yeah.
of officially and unofficial. That's what would send Swing Vision if they were inclined to go after you. That'd be what they hung their hat on.
In the grand scheme of
They
things,
might have
Zach,
been-
they don't give a shit about you, clearly, because they said no. So, like,
I know.
I think you could probably do this and be fine. You could probably say you're their official ambassador, and they won't. Because I don't think they're one
You
of
know
our
that-
25 subscribers. I just don't think Swing Vision is one of them.
You're right, Max. You're overruled. Democracy. Matt and I are going to say we're officially unofficial Swing Vision brand ambassadors now.
There it is.
Cool.
Well, I'm about to say this is generally being in-house counsel for anything. So this is about my daily life.
They just say, "Nah, I'm good, man."
Yeah, they're like,
fine.
thank you for raising all those concerns.
Yeah.
We're moving forward anyway.
That's what whenever I go to legal, I'd be like, I know we're not allowed to do this, but I need you to tell me it's okay. Like, that's generally
And
what I go to them.
legal will never do that.
I
And they're gonna be
know.
like, yes, that's okay.
Yeah, I know, and it's really frustrating. Like, I just want them to tell me that I can do this thing that I really want to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to continue
Yeah,
disappointing
it's okay.
just in your personal life as
okay.
well.
It's okay.
Like speaking, like sort of like how we overruled Max earlier.
Yeah.
Right? Like there
I
were two of
love
us. There were one of him.
overruling legal. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy to be overruled.
Well, so shifting gears for a second and just going back to the fact check, Max, you have fact checked a lot of things that we were wrong about, but we haven't talked about something you fact checked that we were right about, and that is that short shorts are back. Can you double, triple confirm for us that short shorts are back?
Yeah, I can absolutely confirm. Short shorts are back. If your inseam is longer than 5 inches, you're doing it wrong at this point. Like 5 inches has to be the longest inseam possible. Yeah.
Do they call them mediums? I don't think they do.
No.
Think about
it's-
that.
Exactly. John McEnroe would be so proud of us.
So, and Max, you helped us out because some of us enjoy short shorts, but some of us have waistlines that don't always fit to the common perception of who should be wearing short shorts. AKA, some of us have big waists. So you had recommended. What was the brand you recommended for those folks?
I do greatly appreciate J. Crew's
Yeah.
shorts. I don't endorse any of the other J. Crew products.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm
that's
not
fine.
a paid spokesperson for J. Crew, but I will say their summer shorts do a really good job.
Yeah. Are there any
For the Beefy Boys,
Yeah,
too.
that's what we're
Beefy
getting.
Boys.
The Beefy Boys.
Oh, 100%. That's the only. Sorry, I should clarify. That's the only demographic of which I'm familiar.
Yeah, because I love short shorts. Thomas, Gaff, I can't pronounce anyone's last name. He has a great selection of short shorts, and I asked him about them, but then I went and looked, and I'm like, dude, that waistline is not going to work for me, man. I got a big belly. Like, I need some.
Thomas works out though.
I know Thomas is in good
shape.
shape, and that's the problem. Is
Yeah,
I need some
see.
short shorts for guys who like to eat brownies.
That's
you know.
right. It's like I want chips and salsa.
Yes.
And then I also want to wear short shorts.
I want to wear short shorts, exactly.
Let's acknowledge though that when you go from like not super short shorts to short shorts, there is going to be an awkward period. It's like a new haircut. Like your thighs are going to be super duper. If you're a white guy, they're going to be pasty as hell, and it's going to take a minute to get them right. Yeah. So you might just.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not a medical
it's
doctor,
better than
but
looking
sure
like you're part of the 2003 NBA draft.
That's good. That's a good callback. Oh boy. Awesome. So that was fun. So Max, tell us how I was completely wrong about tournaments in most ways. So talk, about money and location and everything.
Yeah, literally, I'm pretty sure everything you said.
Yeah, everything I said was
USTA,
wrong.
Everything you said about USTA
And that's okay.
tournaments and how they're run and decided is 100% incorrect.
Incorrect. Yeah.
That is the median USTA opinion, by the way. Is Matt and I being wrong about every.
Yeah, and again, I fact checked based on my source, which is myself, which is the stuff of which I have personal knowledge. So I will say, in addition to being on the board of directors, I'm on the officials committee. I'm on the schedule and sanctioning committee, which does the scheduling and the sanctioning for tournaments, both adult and junior, in North Carolina. And then I'm also on the Constitution and Bylaws committee.
That's a lot of committees.
So that's that's my source and where I'm getting this from. So in the general...
Are those fun meetings, or are they a little dry?
They sound dry.
on the bylaws committee for USTA.
I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure everyone on that committee is a lawyer, and so it's just 11 boring tennis lawyers in a room being boring tennis lawyers, are not even arguing, just like passing around a document that people have made redline and comments to.
We need some fresh blood, and that's why I think we need to start a campaign to get Jackson and Jaron on the bylaws committee.
That would be fun.
We need... So yeah, get involved is my big thing. People need to get. There is a young professionals committee as well, and I thought Naveen was on it. I think Naveen might still be on it. I'm not sure. I'm not on that committee because I aged out of young professionals, so which might be one of the more heartbreaking things.
Where do we draw the line at that? I mean,
apparently
55,
it was.
I think.
Apparently it was 29.
29?
Oh, that's way too. That's
not. No.
Come on.
Yeah.
35 is the absolute low. Like, it's got to be at least 35. That's outrageous.
Yeah.
32? I'm a kid still. Come on.
But yeah, regardless, everything you said about USTA adult tournaments was absolutely incorrect.
Awesome.
Starting with
Close?
Oh, I'm sure it was. I got to pull up that fact check.
Close. It wasn't close. No, I said they made like no money, and they actually make decent money.
Yeah, so in terms of the economics of running a USTA tournament, I will say there's less money on the adult side than there is on the juniors. Yeah. Just because junior tournament there's no, there's adult league play. There's not junior USTA league play. I mean, I guess there is like theory, there's like junior team tennis or whatever. But like it's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same as junior tournament. Like junior tournaments are a lot bigger. They bring in a lot of people, and they charge a lot of money. And realistically, the junior tournaments, people aren't getting like the T-shirt, the food, the beer, the all that other stuff. Like those kids are paying their money, and then they're paying more.
Well, that's
than
an interesting way to
adults.
open a new revenue stream. Actually, is if you start selling the kids beer.
That's right. As your not lawyer, do you want me to point out the risk or no?
No, we're good. I
can't think of
overruled.
By the way, quick thing about Akihiro, amazing player, super nice guy. A thing that he does that I have tried and failed to do, whenever I've seen him miss a shot, he doesn't get mad at himself. He doesn't throw a racket. He'll do like a fast feet, like short drill for like 10 seconds. And I think that's like the healthiest possible response to a miss. And I'm sure it's more effective than being nasty to yourself. But also, every single time I try to do that for a whole match, I end up stopping like 2 games into it and just getting mad at myself like everybody else.
There's nothing better than a good visor toss. Nothing feels legit. Nothing feels the same. There's nothing that can replace that.
I'm a big
Max, what do you do?
I'm a big proponent of berating yourself about all your worst qualities. Everything that you've ever hated about yourself and that you've wanted to say to yourself for a long time. I think right after you shank a forehand, that's the best time to do it. So yeah, so that's when That's when you criticize your receding hairline. That's when you go off about why you haven't dropped 15 pounds in the last year. Like that's when you sit there and talk about like all those horrible decisions you made when you were 17 years old, and like that's the reason why you missed that forehand really when it comes down to it. So I think we all need to remember that.
Yeah.
And
So
really
Matt, as
take a
someone who's
moment of
witnessed
self-reflection.
Yeah.
What does it sound like when Max goes into this state?
I really enjoy it. It's really funny. He has some really good. I can't remember him because I haven't played in forever. But I remember really enjoying his one-liners when he misses them, and they're very fun. I think everyone gets a good chuckle, and it's a great time.
Yeah, I think I played against Tyler and Ezra with Kevin Moyang the other day, and I felt so bad for Kevin because I played like geriatric dog shit. It was awful, and I played so bad, and I broke out one of my usual ones after I think I duffed a volley into the net or something, and I just was you fucking mental midget, and I'm pretty sure Ezra lost it at that point.
I think people have signature celebrations. Tennis, I love that there are signature, like, the opposite of celebrations. I think my favorite, if we're ranking the best of them, is Mike P's racket toss, because he's an amazing player. I've seen him do fantastic things on the court. He's another person who I'm convinced is going to get bumped after this year. But when he loses his temper, that racket is going over the fence. And you know what? He's got a good arm. It's impressive.
Yeah. He's got a great set of hair too. I think his rivals my hair. I think he needs to get into the Visor Club. Although he doesn't wear a hat, does he?
No, but he was rocking the bandana the other day,
That's a
and
good
I gotta
idea.
tell you, if I saw it and I like immediately was jealous. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's such a cool look," and I want to do that, but
Yeah.
I don't want to steal his look,
Yeah.
and also I don't have the hairline that he does, so it's not the same. But like the bandana
That's
look,
that's the other way to
I'm
do
gonna-
it. Yeah.
Yeah, we got in the short shorts category that it's in. It's back. It's here.
As a bald person, the bandana is not a
It's
good
not
going to
work for you. No, it won't work.
To be completely honest, so I'm not one to speak on that, but I do think it's baffling, Mike being very Greek and a wonderful player, how the heck he managed to get sunburned at all. I thought he was immune to that, but he got sunburned out at the Palooza apparently.
Oh,
Yeah, he did.
The cloudy-
notice. Yeah.
And I was like, I thought like one of the traits of being Greek was that you didn't get sunburned.
Are they going to take away his Greek card for that?
Yeah.
I think they're gonna have to.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
you can't keep it.
No, I'm pretty sure he rubbed some tzatziki on it, but it still didn't go away.
So Max, speaking of sunburn, a lot of us are various stages of losing our hair. It's part of life. And with that comes a new place to apply sunscreen or to look out for. Do you have any tips for those folks that are new in the places
Yeah.
they're applying sunscreen?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big. You got to have a good quality sunscreen. The spray, just spraying up top.
Yeah.
That's not going to cut it.
Oh, okay.
It's not going to cut it. No.
Okay.
So I will say, when you're playing tennis, I do a little bit, but the hat's your best friend. All
Yeah.
things considered, just
Yeah.
because you will sweat. Doesn't matter how sweat-proof sunscreen claims it is. I've tried them all.
Yeah.
They'll all still run a bit. I'm a big fan of Neutrogena's sunscreen. Like they make a good face special sunscreen, and I'm a big fan of that in terms of applying. And if you just go full bald as opposed to just sunscreen on the parts that are thinning or exposed, it's a lot easier to apply and then wash off, because you got to make sure that you got all of that sunscreen out of your hair
Oh yeah.
at the end, and it sticks there. It's a pain.
Awesome. We are going to move into a quick plug. Matt, what you got?
Oh, how many puppy stories do we have time for? I think I've got one. I forgot one that I told that I wanted to tell again, because it got cut. I told it the first time we did the Daniel episode. This was when we originally had like 6 puppies. This was the first night we had them. They were in their cage and they had some accidents, and that's fine. They're puppies. So there's some shit kind of smeared everywhere, but it was in the cage and it was fine. So Jody was like, "Oh man, these puppies have poop all over them. I gotta like wash them off." So we take them, and she puts them in the bathroom, and then she had to go do something, and she left them. She comes back, opens the door, and if you know that scene from Dumb and Dumber where the shit's everywhere, that's exactly what it was. There was shit everywhere. The puppies had gotten shit everywhere. She screamed. I came in, and I saw, and I left, and I said, not my problem. These are your puppies. And then it was awful, and you should never get puppies. But if you want puppies, there are still 3 available. Yes.
And yeah, they'll shit all over your house and bathroom, but you can just get your partner to clean
Yeah,
it.
it's fine. Just get somebody else to clean it up.
So, when you say there's shit everywhere, Matt, how high up the walls are we talking?
I think it was on the countertops. They can climb, so they were climbing. It was on the countertops. It was all over Noodle has a litter box. It was the outside. The inside's covered in shit from his shit, but the outside was covered in shit as well. And the bathtub was all covered in shit. All the shower curtain was covered in shit. I don't think they made it up to the windows, but that was the only place that was safe.
We gotta get these puppies given away, and I don't know that is going to help the cause.
I'm not selling them well at all.
Is there anything that has been cool about having a gaggle of puppies in the home?
They are cute. They are very cute, and they like to snuggle, and they have a lot of energy. But that's about it. I don't. Yeah, that's all I have to say. But you should absolutely adopt them.
Max, will you adopt a puppy? One of these puppies? Why?
I will not adopt one of these puppies.
You realize you're anti-puppy.
Oh man.
I'm anti-puppy. I will take that stance. I'm fine with that stance.
I'm very much my plug is 100% adopt, don't shop, and then also 100% get your pet spayed and neutered.
Yes.
Big proponent of spaying and neutering your pet. We can talk more about that later.
Very
but
important.
no, I will. I love animals, love dogs, love cats, love them all. I'm not doing a puppy.
When you don't get your female dogs spayed, they have their periods. I was getting my hair cut the other day, and this, I don't know why she thought I would want to know about this, but I was talking about, puppies and stuff, and she goes, yeah, I'm just not getting my female dog spayed. She's got her period, and there's blood everywhere, and she's got to wear diapers and shit. And I'm like, what are you doing, lady? And I was like, why don't you get her spayed? And she's like, well, I want her to breed. I want her to experience having kids. I was like, she's a fucking dog. Like, no, get her spayed. It was insane. Yeah.
So I think, Max, you have meaningful expertise into this. Can you tell people why that is a legitimately important step to take if you're a pet owner?
Yeah. Again, all my sources are myself, and my day job revolves around animals.
Which is?
My day job, I'm in-house counsel for the ASPCA, the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals.
And so the people who are the literal authority on preventing cruelty to animals suggest doing this, yes?
Yes, for lots of different reasons. Number one, the pet population already exceeds the number of people who are willing to home a pet. Shelters are overcrowded everywhere, not just municipal shelters, but we're talking, all the local nonprofits that run their own shelters, the rescuers, the foster networks, everything like that, all already incredibly overpopulated. Dogs and cats, it's important either way. And then when people breed, not that there isn't ethical breeding, and not that there isn't legitimate reasons to breed. I understand seeing eye dogs need to be trained from a very early age. Other service animals need to be trained from an early age. We all understand all of that. It's not that the organization is like anti people breeding animals responsibly and for the right reasons. I also understand hypoallergenic breeds and stuff like that, where we understand all of that. That being said, for most people, the majority of breeders, are not licensed by the USDA. The majority of breeders are, what they do with the puppies who don't get adopted is they send them to a shelter. If they even take that step.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of people that breed the desirable dog breed of the day, whatever that might be. Currently, it's pretty much everything either mixed with a poodle of some sort or everything mixed with a Pomeranian, specifically Pomeranians and Huskies for a Pomsky, because it's all the cuteness of a Husky, but very tiny. And they're cute, they're great, but the number of Pomskys that we've personally, as an organization, rescued and have ended up in our shelters is insanity.
And also, Pomsky sounds like a slur against Polish Americans, and I'm not comfortable with that. So right off the bat, don't.
Yeah, there
don't.
you go.
If somebody called me a Pomsky, I'd be like, "What kind of old world bullshit?"
Yeah,
It's
it does sound like an insult.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. So for those reasons, and also to go along with Matt's point, a dog in heat will, if you the smell alone means you can't keep a dog in heat in the house. The smell is pretty insufferable. And then but the reality is, if you put that dog in heat outside the house, I don't care what fence you have, that dog will get pregnant. I don't care if you don't own another dog. You don't own another dog. You've got a dog in heat outside. I don't care what fence you've got. That dog will get pregnant.
You heard it here first. This might be the Triangle Tennis Podcast, but we're dropping pearls of wisdom left and right about puppies, shit, about life.
Yep.
And that's why it's so important that if you've made it this far, you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Your transitions are great.
Yeah, look, I spam the group chat every time.
Seamless segue.
Every time we drop an episode, I spam the group chat.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, I'm pretty sure it's getting annoying. It's not getting less annoying. I got to stop doing that. To stop doing that, you got to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is also probably a good moment to introduce the fact that we have a new director of marketing. I'm going to save that reveal for a later date, but we're looking to professionalize things a little. We're going to be getting on social media. We're going to be getting on a streaming service other than YouTube. You know, we have been lucky enough to already have listeners from Jakarta, Alaska. This is a truly global podcast.
Thailand's the newest one from our mystery subscriber.
Nope, from a totally legit person in all those countries, and definitely not one of our friends being funny. This is a global podcast, and we are going to treat it as such by bringing on a very special director of marketing. Not saying it was a guest, but it could have been. Maybe it's a future guest. Maybe it's a past guest. Maybe it's Max, who's our lawyer as well. Which legally we've said he's not enough times that I can say that Max is our lawyer.
As your director of marketing.
Yeah, so you're our lawyer.
I can tell you that right now. That is not.
That's why you're officially, unofficially our lawyer. We're going to move into the interview portion of this, where we get to know Max, the person, a little better. Max, we know a few things about you. Some of the listeners know you personally. But why don't you tell us a little bit about when you started playing tennis?
So I started playing, I guess, I think my dad taught me when I was 9 or 10 years old, probably, just as something to do in the off season from baseball mostly.
Yeah.
But then I didn't play it with any sort of regularity or seriousness until high school. Then I played all 4 years in high school. And then did the classic, took a long break off.
Yeah. Everyone does that.
10, 12 years.
10, 12.
Didn't pick up a racket.
Yeah, that was mine. So I have a very specific question to you. Why are you immune to my serve? You're the only one.
I love your serve, Matt. I love it so
you do
much.
love it. It's very annoying.
Yeah, it sits right in my strike zone because 6 inches off the ground in my backhand is my strike zone.
Yeah.
No, the answer for that's actually pretty simple. It's because I'm actually left-handed, but my dad taught me how to play tennis right-handed. He taught me how to play tennis and golf right-handed because he wasn't going to buy me a lefty set of golf clubs.
Me too.
And so I learned tennis and golf.
You're a reverse Nadal?
Yeah, in the worst way, right? He just set me up just so poorly. But it does mean that I can kind of take my backhand wherever I want to take it, and that a low to the ground backhand is right there where I want it.
Do you think it'd be harder for you to switch to a one-handed backhand or to playing or switch just entirely to playing lefty?
I think it'd be harder to go to playing entirely lefty. I used to do I couldn't go full Tevin Wilson, who has two massive forehands.
He had two overheads. Shout out to Tevin Wilson, who's the most ambidextrous human being that I've ever seen in real life. It is incredible to watch him play.
Yeah.
It's true. No. Yeah, it'd be easier for me to do the one-handed backhand.
As someone who's been playing right-handed, I can tell you that it's not very easy.
Yeah, I can do a lot of other things with my eat and
Yeah.
and shoot pool and shoot guns and stuff like that with my left hand. But like,
Yeah. So you mentioned you played baseball earlier. Do you do anything else athletically at present?
I play a lot of golf.
I'm sorry, I said
Yeah,
athletically.
I was waiting
Yeah,
for
that's-
that. Yep.
Yeah, I get you. No, golf's a good time. No, I do play. I play a good amount of golf currently. Honestly, other than tennis, yeah, I don't play pickle. I'll play disc golf with the guys. I enjoy some disc golf from time to time. That's a fun time. I don't think is poker athletic in your mind's eye.
You know, that might be a stretch. I think my criteria is if you can have dinner and 2 beers and play the exact same, no, and so that's why golf doesn't count in my mind.
So our
my-
monthly poker nights are not sporting events that are part of my company's health and wellness program.
Now that's interesting. It is sporting, but I would not call it athletic.
Okay.
Yeah, sporting.
I'm still submitting it for reimbursement on my
Yeah,
company's health and
that's a
wellness
great
program.
idea.
Hey, what's in your racket bag and what's your racket setup? Are you a big like string or tension or whatever guy?
Yeah, I string my own. So I use the Yonex E-Zone 98 Tour. So a bit heavier. It's a bit heavier of a racket. I think it's like 315 grams unstrung. And I string with a pretty cheap poly, but I string with a very thin gauge. It's like a 17L. So that way it's not absolutely crushing my arm.
And so what does that mean for folks at home that aren't familiar with that? What does that mean?
So the poly is the material that the string is made
No,
out
the
of.
gauge.
Yeah,
the gauge.
I don't really understand that either. So yeah,
The
explain
gauge
it.
is how thick or thin the string is. Most, if you want a more durable string in the poly realm, you'll go for a thicker gauge.
Okay.
If you want a string that's a bit softer, isn't gonna, hurt your arm as much, a little easier on your elbow, then you're gonna go a bit thinner. You'll get a little more feel as well, but the string won't be as durable, so you'll have to restring it. So I go with a very thin. It's 1.20 millimeters, which is for like different companies change what their number gauges are depending on the actual thing. So, but it's I think a 17L for that company in particular.
What do you enjoy most about captaining?
What I enjoy most about captaining, honestly, how I love the little satisfaction at the end of the year when all the scores are entered and all the standings are done, and it's like this beautiful just like table. It like makes my OCD brain just so happy to see like a full table full of data sets and stuff like that. But in
You could
reality,
have given me a million guesses, and I never
Yeah.
would have said that
No.
for,
No,
for
it's
what
su-
you would say
Not
to
for
that
me.
yeah,
question.
no, it's super joyous. It's like the cheapest little thrill ever. Except it's not cheap, right? Like we pay so much money to do this.
It's true.
Yeah, increasing court fees. There's something you can go on about, but I would say other than that, it's truly having your group of friends that you enjoy playing with and stuff like that, and then adding 1 to 2 new guys a year into the fold for different seasons. I will say my best captaining story ever was I captained a 7-0 mixed team of like random people 3 years ago, maybe. I think now 3 years, 2 years, yeah, 3 years ago in Cary, and it was just a group of 3-5s who all needed a captain, and so I volunteered to do it, and I put this guy and this girl together on a court, asked them how it went. I asked them separately, like, hey, do y'all like playing together? How'd it go? They won. So I was like, did you like it? They were like, yeah, sure, it was great. So I put them together again. They were like, yeah, we play great together. We really enjoy playing together, stuff like that. Put them together a third time. Everything went well. That was it for the season. I was like, okay, whatever. We all kind of went our separate ways. Other people, played on other teams, and it was all fine. And then I think 2 months ago now, I ran into the guy at a mixed match, like a fun for mixed match in Cary. We weren't playing against each other. We were just on the courts. And he came up to me and was like, hey, I never told you, but you paired me and Heather together a lot that season, and actually we're married now. Like, but that was how we
Whoa.
met. That was how we met.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, this is nuts. Like, I'm so happy for them, obviously, and like had zero intention of anything like that ever occurring. But yeah, I was
Okay,
like, this is
for the
just
first one, yes, but like the second and third time where you're like, I don't know, they seem to be friend. Did you have any inclination?
So I had never actually met Heather. That's the whole thing, right? Like, it was just a random grouping of players that season. I knew Chip, the guy, and I'd met him a couple of times. I never met Heather that whole season. I've still never actually met Heather. So, like, I truly,
Wow.
my main concern was, the last thing you want is for people to be uncomfortable on a tennis court. And, like, you hear, like, some horror stories in mixed about, about people, certain players making other players uncomfortable on a tennis court. And so I was always trying to be cognizant of that. And since I didn't know all these players, I was trying to be cognizant and be like, hey, like, did you enjoy playing together? Like, and take all of that into account. And so I just, was double checking on that with my players, and yeah.
So actually, I'd love to talk about that for a second, Max. So you've captained, sounds like, several mixed teams. I think most people want to be a good partner, and they might just not know some of those things are that make people uncomfortable in mixed. What are the biggest complaints you hear from somebody that's having a hard time with their partner in mixed doubles?
Oh man, in mixed doubles, there's everything. It's about balancing personalities. There's the people who think their partner isn't taking it seriously enough. Then there's the partner who thinks their partner's taking it too seriously, too aggressive, taking over every point, not being aggressive enough, and stuff like that. I do think that the key, depending on, because it's not it's different now, and I think the whole game has changed now since mixed moved from 7-0, 8-0, 9-0 in North Carolina to 3-5, 4-0, 4-5. And so doing straight level mixed, I think the lines are a lot more even now. They used to be very unbalanced, and the expectation was that you generally ran in 8-0 a 4-5 male player with a 3-5 female player, and the general expectation was that apart from serving, the 3-5 female player was rarely touching the tennis ball, and the 4-5 male was just kind of a one-on-one game at that point. And so I think it was more acceptable then, but now on straight level, I think the lines are more balanced, and I think people just need to treat it more like an actual, like they would any other doubles match. I feel like too many people get caught up in the dynamic that it is mixed doubles, and they either feel there's some unspoken rules, you can hit somewhere, you can't hit to a certain player if they're obviously weaker and stuff like that. And I feel like everyone's just better served when everybody just treats it like a doubles match, especially now that it's straight level.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
Yeah. The few times
Matt, do you play mixed?
the few times I have played, it's very fun because the women there isn't an equivalent of my serve in the women's game. So I think the number of times they've gotten it back on my serve is I can count on my hand. I have hit women multiple times with my serve, but it's coming at like 30 miles per hour. So it's embarrassing for everyone. Like, no one's mad that I hit them. It's just, oh shit, I got hit.
Well, Matt, there's not really an equivalent of your serve on the men's side either. I think it is a very unique serve. So I have not played a mixed season yet, but a friend of mine from when I grew up in Chapel Hill, Jill Akiyama, has also moved back to the area, is a good player, and watch out if me and her team up. We used to wreck people when I was like 9 in tennis, and I'd like to think we're better now than we were then.
Yeah.
So, watch out.
The rule change from the straight line is much better. The 4-5 male, 3-5 female combo was absolutely awful to play with. I am very glad for the change.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's better in terms of the actual on-court dynamic. I understand there are apparently a lot of people that are upset about the rule change. I had no part in that rule change. That's before I took a seat on the board, and it wouldn't have come through me anyway because I'm still not on the Adult League committee. But I've heard stories of people being upset because you have husband-wife duos that are a 4-5 husband and a 3-5 wife, and they can't play mixed together now.
They live together. They spend all their time together. Like, it'll be fine. They can have 2 hours apart.
Well, and people sit there. I mean, playing against a married couple is hilarious anyway. People are going through actual issues on the court, which is just one of the best things to happen when you're on the other side. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Like, I've never played. Like, you got stories? Now's the time to share them. What does that look like? How does that manifest?
I had a married couple across from me one mixed match, and they were a 4-0. It was back in 7-0, and it was a 4-0 male and a 3-0 woman. And he, obviously he was the stronger player, and she was expecting him to kind of take over the match. And I just had his serve dialed in, so they were moving her all over the place. They were moving her 2 back. They were moving her just like off the court, just so that he could try to serve it. But I wasn't hitting at her. I was just hitting to the open court and just ripping my returns for winners, because his serve just sits in my strike zone. And then she just kept berating him over his serve. Like she didn't hit she made so many errors all match, which you would expect. She was, the weaker player on the doubles team. My partner we were a 3-5-3-5 pairing, and she was a strong, she's now 4-0. Like, we're both now 4-0, so she was a strong 3-5 then. And so we were winning pretty handily, but she was just berating her husband for not just dominating this court. And I was like, is this fun? Are y'all having a good time on this court right now?
Dr. Sarah Cunningham does not play tennis, and I do not think that interaction would take place on a tennis court if she did. But I feel like when you hear those stories, and it's like, what? Why would you do that to yourself and to your marriage if that's going to be the dynamic on a court? Like, the point at the end of the day is to have fun. Like, none of us are getting paid for this.
Mm-hmm. Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see this firsthand, but I really believe it's true. Someone told me Patrick and his wife, Gabby, that's how they met. Gabby were playing in a match, and I think when we have him on the pod, hopefully at some point, he can straighten this out. But they were losing, and they were chatting and trying to strategize, and they started playing well and playing really well. And out of nowhere, Gabby hits a winner, and Patrick just slaps her on the ass as hard as he can. He goes, "Let's fucking go!" Mm-hmm. And I heard, and I believe it's true in my heart. Like, I totally believe it's true in my heart. I didn't witness it though, but that's another aspect. It can go the other way. It can be really good.
There we go.
Knowing Patrick pretty well,
yeah.
That's 100% true.
That's what I feel like it's true.
That's an amazing how we met story. That's a really good how we met. Yeah.
So, well, I don't know if that was on the first date. That would be crazy if that was like the first time they played. I think that was well into their marriage, but that would have been crazy.
I was going to say, like, I'm glad that it worked, but yeah, that was a bold move.
That would have been bold if it was the first time. Yeah. Maybe it was. Yeah. I don't know. But.
Man. Well, before we get out of here, let's get into who Max, the person, is. Not the tennis player, not the captain, not the officially unofficial attorney, not the maybe Swing Vision spokesperson. Max, who are you, the person? Where are you from, and what do you do for work?
From Fuquay Varina, so I'm a local. I grew up in southern Tippawake County, and for work.
That's a wild combo. I'm so sorry. Like, Fuquay Varina is in what county?
Wake.
Sorry, I totally misheard you. We're gonna have to cut that. Sorry, I thought you said a very different thing than Wake. We're good.
Oh, Wake County.
Wake. So, will you do a pickup and start that again? Sorry about that interruption.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm from Fuquay Varina, so grew up local, southern tip of Wake County here in the
southern tip of Wake County. That's what it was, Zach. That's what threw you off.
Yeah, I thought you said.
I'm keeping this in now.
Yeah, southern tip of Wake.
Yes,
that makes sense. But I thought that southern tip of Wake was one word.
I thought
and
it was
like,
too. Yeah.
What?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you can't have Fuquay Varina in southern tip of Wake County. Like
that's what I thought it was. Southern tip of Wake County. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Southern tip of Wake County.
That's right. And now I live
the premier tip of Wake
County.
That is
right. The only tip.
I don't know. It used to be. I'll be honest.
Oh.
Well, they didn't pass their parks bond for more tennis courts, and so they're kind of on the shit list this last election.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Politicians that are listening, beware. Listen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm kind of upset with it. Really, y'all? And it overwhelmingly failed down in Fuquay. It was an overwhelming failure. It was like 60-something% voted against the park bond.
They hate parks in Fuquay, apparently.
Yeah, apparently
children too.
They hate children. They hate children. They hate animals. Sounds like
maybe
an
old
awful-
people as well,
Yeah.
and they vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was sad. I was sad for my hometown at that point. I was like, we had a chance, but yeah. And then what was the next question? Sorry.
What do you do for work?
Oh, we did.
I guess we got into what do you do for work a little bit, but tell us a little bit more about your day job when you're off the courts.
Yeah, so my day job is I'm an in-house lawyer for the ASPCA, so the oldest animal welfare organization in North America. So my background is in employment law, which is what made the transition to in-house kind of easier. But then once I got with the ASPCA, in addition to all the nonprofit corporate compliance and employment stuff that I handle, I also do evidentiary documentation on some of our cruelty deployments. So all the very unfortunate criminal cases of animal cruelty that my organization handles, we have lawyers involved in every step of the way of that process, and so that's part of my job as well.
So what does that look like? I mean, do y'all help prosecute the bad actors that are doing harmful things to animals? Do you kind of help inform when that's happening? Like, what is the role of the ASPCA there?
So the ASPCA, we have our legal advocacy and investigations department, and with that we have a lot of ex-prosecutors, a lot of ex-New York prosecutors, Philly prosecutors, like big city DAs. And so that they're basically now our in-house prosecutors that work with local district attorneys and local prosecutors all over the country about all the nuances and all the forensic data and stuff like that we have, because we also have our own in-house forensics labs for animals, both in Gainesville, Florida, as well as in New York.
Max, can you give us a crazy animal story, but I would like one with a happy ending where you bust the asshole.
And then they actually go to jail.
Yeah, well, I'll take what I can get.
Okay, my very first deployment, I had been employed with the ASPCA for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they sent me on my first deployment to Hamilton, Alabama. Mm-hmm. And it was a sad situation of breeding rampant. I mean, they weren't just breeding; they were breeding, hoarding, and keeping Australian shepherds in pretty deplorable conditions.
That's Lily. That's my dog. Oh man,
I grew up with an Aussie as well, a rescue Aussie, and they were in a single wide trailer in Hamilton, Alabama, and they had, I think, 45 dogs in this single wide trailer, and 2 people living there.
Yeah.
And when we arrived, the ammonia levels in the house, in the trailer, were so high that we had to air everything out before we could go in for like 4 hours. We brought in these giant fans and stuff like that before we could roll out, and then we transported all of those animals to a partner shelter in Alabama, and then they went from there. And the ones we were able to find alive, we were able to keep alive. We kept 100% of those animals alive, and all got adopted.
Yeah,
and they took a plea deal. They took a plea deal to never own animals again.
That's a win.
Yep.
There you go. That's meaningful work. That's very meaningful work.
It's not very often that you get to talk to somebody that is doing something that is an unequivocal good.
Yeah. There's nothing you can argue with that. That is an amazing thing to do.
Yeah, and as a podcast that strives to promote good dudeliness both on and off the court, you're living it, Max.
Yeah.
So thank you for what you and this organization do. It's important.
I strive to be the Zach and Matt in the world. Be the good dudeliness you want to see in the world.
That is
a Gandhi quote, isn't it?
Yeah, Gandhi said that.
Was it Gandhi?
Yeah.
I think
I studied Gandhi.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. No, I really did.
There
He definitely
I thought it was
said
an ancient.
I'm pretty sure
Chinese
saying
proverb.
I studied Gandhi is the whitest thing you could
It
ever
is.
say.
Yeah,
Matt.
I did.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have a whole fucking paper.
How
on
much
it.
you study Gandhi?
I did study Gandhi a lot in my senior year. I have a whole.
Which
thesis
senior year?
report.
You had what? 4?
I had a lot of senior years. I should specify. You're right. My undergrad senior year, I spent at least a year and a half. Not a year and a half, maybe a year, and I wrote a whole paper somewhere on him. But yeah, so yeah, he definitely said that. I'm sure of it. That's a great quote.
There it is.
Well, And the person who would fact check us is here, so
yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I just
settled. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like that at that point. Sounds like Gandhi endorsed this podcast.
I think he did. Yeah, that was definitely in my thesis paper in 2000, whatever. I'm gonna do a hard pivot, and I want to know. So this is gonna be great for me because Zach has been on the podcast with other folks. And he goes off on these tangents, and I have no fucking clue what he's talking about, and it lasts for like 15 minutes. But I am about to go on one with Max, and you don't know what's going on, Zach, and you're gonna have to sit there, and you're not gonna know what's going on.
Okay,
this is gonna be great.
Embrace it, Zach.
Who is your favorite Avatar character, and why is it Zuko?
And why is it Zuko? Zuko is a phenomenal character. That story arc, and like. We're not talking about the Netflix live action.
No. We're talking about
We're talking about Zuko.
He's one of the
sir.
Go ahead, Max. You can describe it better than me.
Yeah, I love a Z name. I'm as a Zach. I don't know who I've never heard this series of letters pronounced in my life.
Zuko. So Zuko is one of the main characters. There he is.
There's Zuko.
From Avatar: The Last Airbender. I will say he's not my favorite Avatar character because Uncle Iroh is my favorite. Of course,
that's the reason to say Zuko's not your favorite. He's the only other one.
Exactly. Oh man, and the fact that that season 2 is just phenomenal television. Like the whole Avatar show is perfect from start to finish because they actually had a complete idea, had 3 seasons, and then stopped it where it belonged, and it was just joyous. But the character arc of Zuko and his transformation, both toward Uncle Iroh as well as toward Aang and Katara, and the realization of love lost with his mother, but love gained with friendship, and it's just a phenomenal storyline. And then the relationship he has with his sister, and how it's such a place of toxic anger and rage, and then the change in where his source of his firebending comes from, and how he's a more powerful bender when it doesn't come from rage. It's the Zuko arc is just joyous to watch, and I think the reason Iroh is my favorite character, though, is because, the role he plays in Zuko's arc that he didn't get to play in his own son's arc, and then it's just truly flawless. But then his arc being, he was the Dragon of the West, and the siege of Ba Sing Se that was unsuccessful for so long, and then the fact that he yielded all of it to run a tea shop in Ba Sing Se is just wonderful to watch, and so. I will say,
what is going on with the culture? I gotta butt in. We got every dude I know is watching anime. Every woman I know is reading smut novels, and I just feel like I've been left behind by the culture. And all I got left is tennis now and his podcast.
You've got Twitter.
What's going on?
You Puritan little fuck. Read your unicorn smut, your Minotaur smut, and enjoy it.
Okay, so where would one even start? Truly, I don't even know where I'd start with if I was gonna.
I think Avatar: The Last Airbender might be the softest of anime core ever. It's not. I don't even know if it's officially anime because I'm pretty sure it's entirely American.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people listening, like me, have friends that enjoy anime, that care about anime. And I do not get it. Help me as a non-fan, as someone who's just apathetic. Help me understand. What is it? The art? Is it the storylines? What is it that hooks you about Avatar, but anime broadly?
I don't like anime, but I love Avatar. So that's my stance. Avatar is amazing, but I'm generally not an anime guy. But Avatar is absolutely amazing.
I mean, I think there's to the extent that we're talking about anime in broad strokes, I think a lot of it is nostalgia for me in terms of it's a lot of my childhood, because it all started with the Pokemon trend, which I still play to this day.
Oh wow!
Do you have the original cards when you were a kid?
What kind of question is that?
Wow.
Why are we asking? Oh,
no wonder you have a beach house. That's how you got that.
That's how you got that beach house.
Let's not ask dumb questions. No, it's but I still have all my original Nintendo stuff, but then it's segued through the TV shows and the movies, and then the the Miyazaki movies, like Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, My Neighbor
Spirited Away,
Totoro, like all of the. I mean, those are just incredible films, and like the storytelling that goes into that, and then the artistry, and it was like, I think coming of age, it was such a pivot. Not that I don't enjoy Disney movies for what they are, not that I didn't enjoy Disney movies growing up, because I do, and there's some phenomenal films, but the storytelling through animated cinema of Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki in particular, and being able to see that animated movies could have different animation than just Disney animation. And it, like, your American options were basically like, okay, you're watching Disney or you're watching like The Simpsons or King of the Hill, which are very much for adults. And like, this was, the Miyazaki movies felt more mature than Disney movies, but the artistry was just beautiful to watch, and the storytelling was incredible. And it was still based, most of their stories are based on fairy tales, just like all the classic Disney movies are based on fairy tales. And so, but it was just a better way, in my opinion, a better way to deliver the experience. So I think that's where it came from. So yes, you should 100% watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is, again, the softest of anime I think you'd ever find. And then you should 100% watch the Miyazaki movies if you haven't already. Because, like, Spirited Away is just...
Yeah, it's a classic.
An incredible film.
Yeah.
And My Neighbor Totoro, and Howl's Moving Castle, and Princess Mononoke, and if you're feeling fun, you can watch Ponyo. It's not my favorite, but okay. And it's all better than the new one that just came out, The Boy and the Heron. The Boy and the Heron's a little...
Jody said it wasn't very good. She saw it. Yeah, she didn't like it a lot,
It's not one of my favorite. It's nowhere close to Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, or Howl's Moving Castle.
So does the genre of anime encompass all animated films, or is it a specific type of animated film?
So.
Because I've got one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody more passionate about it than me would have the better answer.
Disney movies aren't anime. That like
no,
it's like
I think it's Japanese style animation.
Generally,
is what it's generally understood to be.
Yeah.
So like,
which is why I don't know if Avatar even qualifies.
The Prince of
Exactly.
Egypt, for example, would not count as anime.
No, but that's a great movie.
I mean, that soundtrack... Okay, now I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. Sorry, Matt. Apparently, Mariah Carey, she was huge when this came out, and Whitney Houston was like, this is bullshit, I'm the better singer. I'm going to upstage her in every single chance I get during that soundtrack. And if you listen to it, Mariah Carey is fantastic, of course, but Whitney Houston is just, like, knocking it out of the water. It's sort of like when Amy Winehouse came out after Adele at the Brit Awards in the late 2000s. Like, you can tell that Whitney reached back for the fastball and found it. That is unquestionably the greatest soundtrack of all time.
Yeah, I that's a bit of a hot take. That's the greatest soundtrack of all time, but I'll let you have it for now.
I think you probably could throw Remember the Titans in the mix as like up there, but I don't know. Like there's it's all originals for the Prince of Egypt.
No, that's the thing, right? Is it's all originals, which is truly excellent.
Yeah,
because I will say the Hunchback of Notre Dame soundtrack goes insanely hard, but everything Alan Menken does goes insanely hard.
It's been a minute since I've heard the Hunchback of Notre Dame soundtrack.
The's like this one where like
it holds up.
Oh yeah, well like there's a song where Frollo is just like lusting after Esmeralda, and it's so good, like it's so good, and then you realize that like he's like the judge in the town. It's so freaking corrupt. You're like, you French people. I love it.
I just love corruption. It's so cool.
It's
so fun. We're going to cut that. Sorry, that's going to get me in trouble.
Yeah, I'll cut it. That's fine.
Yep.
As is our tradition, we like to ask our guests, what does tennis mean to you?
I think tennis, broadly as a sport, other than just a way to stay in healthy, but specifically through the friends I've made through USTA, is camaraderie, while also getting to scratch that competitive itch that I think we all have that we don't really get in our day jobs. And so, but on top of that, it's brought me a great group of friends that have become more than just tennis friends, but have become actual genuine friends that are unrelated to work and unrelated to a professional network, but are truly just social support and I don't think I would have found any of that, despite growing up here in this area, would have found any of that if it wasn't for tennis.
Great answer.
This is the Triangle Tennis Podcast. That's our guest, Max Gregson. Not our attorney, but a very good attorney nonetheless. Thanks for joining us.